All right, everybody, welcome to the Mangalorian. I am Danny from Geekdom 101, joined by Jordan the Dragon Lee from Jordan the Dragon Lee. And welcome to our coverage of volume 18 of the manga. We did not stream last week because it was election day and there were things going on, and we assumed that some people wouldn't be available. But today we are back, and I'm excited because last week was an extra long show because we had to talk about going into Z. We had to talk about the Raditz arrival, the revelation that Goku was an alien the entire time, and talking about the impact that had on the series from now on. From now on, like we talked about, and I've said it before, Goku being revealed as being a Saiyan, as being an alien, changed the series forever. Like the Dragon Ball that we knew before, there were still elements of it, but now it's all about Super Saiyans. It's all about the kids, Trunks, Gohan, and then, later Goten. And, it's all about them. And the crew that we grew up with, Tenshin Han, Yamcha, well, not grew up with, but the crew that we had gotten to love took a back seat. Now, the good thing is that Tenshin Han, Tien made some appearances as the series went on, but I would say the Saiyan Saga was kind of the last time they were really somewhat relevant, which is why, and we're going to talk more about it as we go through volume 18 of the manga. This is why, it's important to go back and read the manga in order or watch the anime Dragon Ball then Z, because a lot of people assume that Yamcha, Tenshin Han, these Z fighters are all clowns. Even Krillin gets put in there as like the job squad when they weren't always the job squad. And I really think that Tien's arc is really good, and it's in Dragon Ball, and a lot of people miss it. And I feel like they would appreciate it more if they saw everything. So,
well, they would appreciate everybody's arc more because Tenshin Han, as we talked about in that stream, was the blueprint for everybody else's arc. So, seeing Tenshin Han's arc makes you appreciate everybody.
Yeah. And the martial artist aspect of everything was turned up with the introduction of the Saiyans, because now there was a chemical reason as to why Goku's excited to fight people, whereas before it was just the honor of martial arts. Now we're going to go ahead and get started with volume 18. Now, something that people should be aware of, because it was kind of a shock to me when I first started reading Dragon Ball, the manga, is that the Saiyan Saga in the manga is significantly shorter. Toriyama does an almost 11-month or so time skip. We see a little bit of Gohan's training. We see a little bit of Goku meeting King Kai, Osama, but the manga skips ahead to the fight. We get there really quickly, whereas the anime, there is a chunk in the Z part of the anime, not Kai, where there's a chunk of like 15 to 18 episodes of filler that I actually love. All that mid-Saiyan Saga stuff with Gohan, the stuff with Goku and Princess Snake and the ogres, I like all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to want to talk about some of the filler in this stream because there's some filler that makes the themes between Gohan and Piccolo a bit more blatant. And I really appreciate a lot of the filler during that era. Now, the first thing I would love to talk about is essentially this picture right here, because, it goes without saying, it's one of the most blatant, like, Wukong pictures Toriyama drew whenever, he was drawing Gohan during this era. And a lot of people, they like to pretend that those kind of themes and some Wukong stuff took a back seat whenever.
It's right there, dude. It's right there. It's right there.
It's literally right there. He's telling, this is Toriyama's like subtle way of telling you, no, it's still there.
And even though Goku is Wukong, there are elements of Wukong and Gohan too.
Oh, yeah. So originally Goku, like what made him like creative as a concept, what made it cool that Toriyama was playing on Son Wukong in his own little unique creative way is that he was like a backwards version of Sun Wukong, where he starts off pure of heart and then he has to like grapple with his demonic nature as he gets into hairy situations where he would be tempted to give in to that aspect of his nature. And Gohan's no different. Gohan starts off very, very pure, very, very human-like, very, very empathetic. And then as he's thrown into dangerous situations, he has to wrestle with the demonic aspect of his nature. It's a him and Goku are very, very, very similar in that way. And then Piccolo and Vegeta, they have a very, very similar arc to Wukong as well, except it's more like Wukong's actual arc, where they start off as villains and then they progressively get better and become better people over time. So Toriyama, like, he basically just like he used, because Sun Wukong's character development is like the blueprint for spiritual development or spiritual cultivation. He just kind of uses that as a blueprint for all of the characters' spiritual cultivation in the series, because Wukong was just like a perfect example of what you need to go through to develop as an individual in the story. So he's just taking that arc and he's applying it to everybody in his own little cool creative way. That's what's.
And Dragon Ball is far from the only franchise to use elements of Wukong, especially when it comes to anime. One Piece also borrows a lot from Wukong, although he takes the idea and puts it more into the pirate stuff. Now, I'm not a One Piece expert, but you've told me that Luffy's kind of like a Wukong type of character.
Yeah,
as well.
And even Ryu from Street Fighter, Akuma is kind of like, he's a demon themed character for that reason. Him facing Akuma is facing the demonic aspects of what it takes to be a martial arts. And even Ryu uses a ultra instinct like technique in Street Fighter, the power of no mindedness. And that's because all of these series have like very, very similar themes in that way. And it's all because they're all taking from the fact that martial arts itself stems from old Buddhist and Taoist knowledge. And it's very, very interesting.
Nightmare Trooper is saying that he's got a second job, but he might not be around. But that's okay, because the streams will all be archived, so you can check them out whenever you want. And yes, I respect you for making sacrifices to smash your debt, because if you're in debt, get out of it. Trust me, I understand that feeling very well. Let's take Xavier's super chat here. He says, I kind of wish we got a little arc of Goku and Chi-Chi being a fighting couple before Gohan came around and being parents. I've talked about that before, how much I wanted them to do an adventure in between Dragon Ball and Z with Goku, Chi-Chi, and Piccolo, and something that happened. Like a little adventure, kind of like what Daima is, where Daima's not going to be a long show, but it's too long to be a movie. And what Battle of Gods was supposed to be a one-shot. They had no plans when they made Battle of Gods to bring back Dragon Ball. It's just that it was so successful they did. I would love it if they did like a little movie or something of that time period. Yeah. Also, something I want to point out too, we see Gohan here with the staff. That's not the power pole. That's the Nioibo staff. And what I find interesting is Gohan actually never uses the Nioibo, the power pole, in the anime or manga outside of the movies. He does use it in the movies, but never in the actual show or manga.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into why that's the case whenever Gohan starts training with Piccolo. But yeah, it's very, very interesting.
Gohan has elements of Wukong, but it's different than Goku. So we're going to start with Chapter 208, Son Gohan, the Inconsolable. And then we have, of course, Toriyama drawing Gohan driving a Formula One car. Toriyama's love of cars has always been a thing. So here we begin with the training in the wilderness, where Piccolo is basically trying to toughen Gohan up. This is something that a lot of people on Twitter and a lot of people in the community need. Some fucking tough love to fucking grow a set of balls. They need to be in the wilderness. So what Piccolo basically tells Gohan, this goes back to something you've talked about a lot. It's one of the things you've discussed when it comes to Bardock. We've talked about it on Twitch and even a little bit on here and in episodes of Sayuki we've done. And that is what's called the survival instinct. Piccolo basically tells Gohan, survive. If you can survive, and it's kind of funny because I love how Piccolo's like, if you can survive on your own at 4 years old, then I'm going to train you. And that's when the real hell will begin. So I'm going to let you talk about that, but I wanted to give a shout out in the chat to Calvin. He mentioned Romance of the Three Kingdoms. I haven't played that game in many, many years on Super Nintendo, but that game ate up hours of my life that I'll never get back. So talk about survival instinct and why it's important and why it's part of Gohan.
Yeah, well, the reason it's so interesting that Piccolo chooses to use survival as the approach to motivate Gohan is because Gohan is inherently a good person. Like, he has a good heart. He's not going to want to actually hurt anybody for the sake of maliciously hurting people unless he's Super Saiyan 2, as we learn later. But, you know, survival is an amoral stance to take in combat. It's not a malicious stance to take. It's not a pacifistic per se stance to take. It's just like it's a matter of factly stance to take in combat. If you're in a combat situation and you're doing it for survival, at that point you're not doing it with ill intentions, and that's something that Goku has taken advantage of to kill people without ill intentions, basically the entire series. And so that's kind of what Piccolo is leaning into here. He's trying to teach Gohan how to lean into his power in a productive way that's not necessarily amoral in nature. So if Piccolo can teach Gohan the philosophy of fighting for survival, that can make Gohan more comfortable with the idea of fighting. And in that sense, what Piccolo's trying to do here is genius, because using some sort of like evil motivation to get him to fight would never work on somebody like Gohan. But framing it in this way where it's like if you're just doing it for your survival and for the survival of your family, that's like the perfect motivator for Gohan to get into actually fighting sometimes. Of course, it doesn't work until way, way, way later, as we see. But, you know, it's just the perfect way to approach Gohan as a character. Now, this is also a philosophy that is ingrained into martial arts itself. The entire purpose of using your survival instincts to your advantage in combat is to prevent yourself from falling victim to your ego or your like immoral intentions. Like, basically, wanting to actually hurt your opponent is a bad thing in martial arts. But if you can hone into,
makes you a bad guy.
Yeah, but if you can hone into your survival instincts, then you basically void yourself of that intention while also achieving your goal of winning in combat. So if Gohan can tap into his survival instincts, which also just so happens to be the source of his power, and use it correctly, not only will he be voiding himself of the ill intent that comes with, you know, normally trying to hurt your opponent, but he can also take advantage of his instincts to draw out his latent power. So Piccolo's approach here is actually genius in that sense.
Jordan, be honest. Did you put your son out in the woods when he was 4?
No. No.
You know what that means, right? That means that Gohan's tougher than your son.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my son's pretty tough, but yeah, I'd say Gohan definitely is more tough than my little boy.
Yeah, and so this whole thing, man, is great. No food, nothing. He's over here asking for food and a bath, and no, survive. Now, the anime added some wonderful filler where Gohan was, he met a dinosaur, he met a robot. This is all stuff that was written by Takao Koyama and then of course the orphanage episode. This is all stuff that was written by Takao Koyama to add character to Gohan, to give him these lessons. And I thought, I've said it before, the filler in the Saiyan Saga is brilliant. And one of the reasons why, like for Kai, I prefer the Frieza Saga is because a lot of the Frieza Saga filler is kind of trash. But the Saiyan Saga filler, that's why, like, some people have asked me, like, pacing wise, you know, do you watch Kai? And the answer is no. I always will prefer the original Z, but I can understand somebody watching the Saiyan Saga Z and then switching to Kai for the Frieza Saga, because not, especially in the dub, because you're getting Chris Ayres' wonderful performance as Frieza. Rest in peace, my old friend. But I wanted to say that, and we'll talk more about it probably on Twitch, because we're about to get to those episodes. We're actually, next couple of weeks, we're going to get to those episodes. And it's great. Now, this, we have to talk about this because this is the actual beginning of Piccolo's arc. This idea that Toriyama never planned anything. Okay. Yes, Toriyama was a discovery writer. Yes, he wrote as he went along. But the idea that he never planned anything is bullshit. He did have ideas where he would foreshadow things and pay them off later. Now, there's other manga authors that did it better than him, but to say he never did it is bullshit. So this conversation right here with Popo and Kami, this is basically the beginning of Piccolo's arc. I'm going to read this verbatim for you guys because this is really important. And BVTHC, if you watch Kai, bro, make sure you watch the uncensored like Blu-ray. Stay away from the TV versions. It's too censored. He says, it's our Piccolo. Something's changed. He isn't acting like the villain I've come to expect. I can still feel the evil in his heart, but at the same time, it's somehow different than it was before. And then Popo says, I think so too. The old Piccolo Daimao would never train Son Goku's son, no matter what the circumstances were. And then he says, I first noticed something was different when Goku's brother's soul arrived in the other world after Piccolo killed them. This is dialogue that a lot of people forget, including yours truly. And people have said that, Danny, you're a Dragon Ball encyclopedia. Yeah, but there's only so much. I only have so much brain. And me and Jordan have fried our brain with weed. I mean, with medicine enough times that we can't remember everything. So he goes on to say, the souls of those killed by the demon clansmen do not cross over and are trapped drifting between heaven and earth. Since Raditz went to the other world, this is clearly not the Daimao of old. This is super important. And I've got a video. I have a video that I recorded last night. And it's about the afterlife. After 10 years, I'm finally going to drop the Afterlife Explained, because people have been asking me for this video since Resurrection F, because they're confused about this whole thing. In the original continuity from Toriyama, it was stated that if somebody is killed by a demon, they don't pass on to King Yema. Their soul, it's sort of it's stuck. It's stuck in limbo, right?
Yeah.
Now,
so this is them confirming that Piccolo was a demon. That's what this is. They are,
but he's turning good now.
Yeah. Well, they're confirming that he's no longer a demon after he's reincarnated, but they're also confirming that King Piccolo himself was a demon. So they confirmed that, like, and I was talking about this on the stream, like, whenever we were doing the original Dragon Ball stream. He's a demon because what defines a demon in Chinese mythology is having your soul overtaken by evil intent. That's what causes you to become a demon. And that is the original context that Toriyama was using for King Piccolo at that time, before all the alien stuff, before all like the much stronger sci-fi elements. That is what Toriyama was thinking of at the time, was like the Chinese version of what a demon is, or an Oni, so,
Right. And the thing is, it's very important because this idea, right, is really important because it's also something that, and this is obviously with respect to Toriyama, was something he did forget. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. It was stated that if you are killed by a demon, your soul is in limbo. Now, remember what happened to Yamoshi. Yamoshi was killed by a demon. Toriyama told the Yamoshi story right around 2017, 2018. But in the Majin Buu saga, Majin Buu kills a lot of people, and Majin Buu is a demon. All the people that died wound up going to the afterlife and were brought back to life with the Dragon Balls. However, a lot of that was in the anime. See, and this is all going to get covered in that Afterlife Explained video. It's a little bit of a contradiction, but I noticed that in the manga, we don't see the ultimate fate of the people who died.
Yeah.
So they may have been in limbo, and when the wish was made, they came back. Yeah. This is one of those cases, and this is why I always say to not talk about canon, because when you start talking about the manga and the anime, there are contradictions. So when somebody says Dragon Ball Z is canon, I can break that down for you and immediately kill that idea. Now, I'm not saying I don't love Dragon Ball Z. That's not about that. Canon, people think too emotionally with canon. Oh, GT's not canon, so it sucks. Have you ever watched it? No. Well, maybe you'll like it if you watch it. I hate that. But the point I'm trying to make is this idea about demons killing people and them being in limbo, everyone forgets about it.
Yeah. Well, there's the Toei, the anime staff has their own version of the afterlife altogether. I mean, if you look at like
they added a lot.
Yeah, Cell and Frieza are like hanging out, together in the afterlife. They don't have their own personal hell like Toriyama later established in Super. But also, one of the very distinct differences was in the Janemba film, there was a literal machine used to
and that's only in that film. That's only in that film.
Right. So they were just very, very loose about the idea of the afterlife, for sure.
Yeah. Now, I did want to actually go through this quick question here. He says Popo is an India deity too. He's based on like Middle Eastern Indian mythology, but one of the things about Popo people don't understand is that both Popo and Kami came from the afterlife. They were put there to be the servant of God from the afterlife. Well, how do you know that, Danny? Daizenshu 7 explains that. Once again, the guidebooks. Now, something else I want to point out. Again, something a lot of fans have forgotten about. Right here, what does Kami say? Piccolo may have realized, as I have, that in 1 year we'll die. Toriyama was already foreshadowing Piccolo's death, and he already knew that Piccolo was going to turn good and just sort of gave you the nugget right there.
Well, let me tell you why this is so cool. Because in martial arts, using your survival, like I just said a few minutes ago, survival as your motivation tames your evil intent.
Jordan. Hold on one moment. Middle Eastern isn't Indian. That's why I said Middle Eastern and Indian. Popo's inspired by both. Also, I don't know how I feel about your those little icons on your name, dude. I don't think I like that. Continue, Jordan.
Anyway,
I was just icons around his name.
I was just going to say the fact that Kami, well, it's also a Buddhist symbol, but yeah, Kami. The reason that Kami is saying that his survival is what caused him to change, that is very, very purposeful on Toriyama's part. But yeah, I don't like the symbol either, to be honest. But
well, I mean, I told him he's got balls to have it because that doesn't mean that anymore. But again,
that's very, very purposeful on his part. Like him saying that what changed Piccolo is the idea that he's gonna die. And using survival as his motivation, that is a very, very, very purposeful thing on Toriyama's part, and he's thinking about that simultaneously here with Kami and Piccolo, while also thinking about that with Piccolo's training with Gohan. Like the theme is very, very consistent here in that sense.
It's such a good story. So Kami says, "I'm not certain if Piccolo will die in combat with the Saiyans, or if I said will simply succumb to old age before then." Kami's really old. Now, he's not as old as Neva from Dragon Ball Daima, because that guy's thousands of years old. And Popo's freaking out like 1 year. So he says, my life force is bound with Piccolo. We are two halves of the same being. One cannot exist without the other. Though I may be God, foreseeing your own death is a tough thing to deal with, which is true. But this is beautiful right here. I don't think people, God, I love this fucking manga, bro. I think some people think that Dragon Ball fans, like I've said before, that OG Dragon Ball is better than Z. And I do think it's more consistent, but Z has a lot of phenomenal stuff. Like Z has bigger highs. I think the problem with Z is that there are issues in the writing later on. But at this point where we're at right now, Toriyama was still cooking. He says Piccolo must want to pass on his knowledge to someone else, even if that someone is Goku's son. So Piccolo Jr., the Piccolo that we know, cannot lay eggs. I've gotten so many people asking me, why doesn't Piccolo ever make a son by laying eggs? He doesn't do that. Demon King Piccolo did that. Now, why he doesn't lay eggs, I have no idea. It's never explained. Or maybe it is and I missed it. But this idea here is basically going with the narrative that Piccolo's Gohan's dad. He's not, but the fundamentals of the Mazoku, of the Demon Clan, are getting passed down to Gohan. This right here, believe it or not, is why Gohan Beast makes sense. And it took 30 fucking years to get there, but this is why Gohan Beast
Piccolo
makes
mode.
sense. Because it's Piccolo. And what happened? He thought Piccolo was dead, and then he went nuts. Rawr, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yep. And look right here. The next time they are used will be their last. So we catch up with Gohan. Here's the stuff with the dinosaur. The anime goes into a lot more of this. This is the infamous, Gohan running from the dinosaur that we see in the Chala Head Chala intro.
And if you'll notice, the reason that Gohan teleports and escapes is because of his survival instincts. That's something that they keep showing you over and over and over again. That Gohan
he did it on accident, like when he blasted the mountain. He doesn't know what he's doing. It's basically, you know what it is. Remember what Luke Skywalker said in the Mandalorian, what this show is named after, season 2 finale, when he said, "Talent without training." I forgot what the fuck else he said. Talent without training doesn't work. Gohan has a ton of potential. All he needs is the training. And that's what Piccolo is. So here Gohan's trying to survive. And then there's these 2 apples that appear. And then Gohan's like, wait, there's no apple tree here. We find out that Piccolo gave him the apples. Now, for a guy who's a villain to feed Gohan, which was basically, this was a reward for Gohan surviving the dinosaur.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much to just this little part that I have to get into, but like, there's just so much to this. Okay, so Gohan is a person who is completely free of his survival instincts, but he is very, very Buddha-like in that he has empathy for everyone. He cares about everyone. He has very, very strong empathy and emotions for everyone. So he's almost like one half of your dual nature in that sense. He's one half of it. Piccolo is trying to bestow upon him the other half of his nature that is important for him to use in order to survive his future exchanges. Now, I talked about with you plenty of times about how in Journey to the West, Sun Wukong was sealed underneath a mountain, so that way he could suffer an ego death and eventually learn the ways of Buddhism and find balance between his demonic nature and his Buddha nature. Well, this is literally like a reverse situation to that in a really wild way, because Toriyama literally had Piccolo have Gohan. He literally had Gohan get trapped on top of a mountain instead of underneath a mountain. And the thing that Piccolo is trying to teach Gohan is the exact opposite as far as like the spectrum of good and evil that Sun Wukong learns from in Journey to the West. The lessons that Piccolo are trying to teach Gohan are like the more evil aspects of Sun Wukong's ideas, his ideologies, in terms of like, being more selfish in terms of like fighting for your survival and things of that nature. So this is like a perfect like role reversal of like what Sun Wukong went through when he was sealed underneath Five Phases Mountain. Instead of him being taught like very empathetic Buddhist like principles, he's literally being taught demonic principles. Like literally, like it's like such a cool role reversal that like goes straight over everybody's head. But it's so cool because here in a few minutes, as we'll see, Gohan actually does tap into his demonic nature for the first time, and Piccolo gets to see it. And it's just like the way that Toriyama basically layered all this stuff in to like play on the narrative of Journey to the West, but in his own unique way. It's like very, very, very well done. And I just had to point that out because I think it's very well done. So. You're muted, Danny.
Oh yeah, chapter 209, deeds done by the full moon. This is where we see Gohan become a great ape for the first time on Uzaru. So Nicholas, you forgot Piccolo Senior is also Warrior Clan, bro. See what I'm saying? Like, you forgetting that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, they should both be able to. But it doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. So Gohan becoming a great ape is kind of a big deal because it's the first time that this is a huge callback. You have to remember that at this point, Dragon Ball's manga was running for 4 years, and not everybody started with chapter 1. People, like with America, some came on in the later parts. I mean, we know people who started watching Dragon Ball Z in the Cell Saga or in the Buu Saga. They were flipping through the channels and they saw, not everybody starts at the very beginning. But this is a callback all the way to the beginning of the manga because we have not seen an Ozaru since Goku did it at the tournament. We haven't seen it, and we knew that it was going to happen because Gohan had a tail. Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. Now, the Uzarus have semi-pointed ears. So Jordan has been championing this theory, and you're not the only one who's talked about this, but you're here, that that in the demon realm in Daima, we're going to find out that, and of course you have some advanced knowledge that I gave you, but we're going to talk about that right now, that the Saiyans many years ago started as apes and then eventually just evolved to have humanoid tendencies. That has not been revealed yet as of the recording of this stream. We're doing it on November 12th. But if it is, I mean, the red eyes and the fury of it all, it's
so Wukong was a demon. The character that Goku was based on was a demon. So,
it would kind of make sense.
And he was a demon with a dual nature. So, like, he had a Buddha nature and a demonic nature, which we literally are getting ready to see Gohan's dual nature. Like, it's split. There's a wall between it. There's Gohan. There's the great ape. They're they have a dual nature. So, like, yeah, it's like the thing is like it's also it would be very, very Toriyama-like because being humanoid, looking humanoid in Buddhist mythology is a side effect of becoming enlightened. So there was a film that Toriyama did the cover for, a Journey to the West film that I watched with you actually in your server, where Sun Wukong expelled his demonic nature, and when he did that, he became a human. He was no longer a monkey. He was a man, and he was trapped in Five Faces Mountain as a man because he had expelled his demonic nature. And in that movie, he escapes that cave, goes outside underneath the full moon, and turns into a great ape-like figure by absorbing yin energy from the moon. So
they borrowed Toriyama's idea back that he borrowed from them. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So I have a lot of reasons. It would just be so Toriyama-like for him to take that concept of like spiritual cultivation and evolution and turn it into an actual biological thing where they came from the demon realm and then they basically they reap the rewards. They reap the rewards of being in the mortal realm by evolving over generation and generation and generation in the mortal realm. Yeah, that's been my theory from the start. Yeah.
This has been a frequently asked question that I think I answered in a short. I know I've talked about it before. Didn't Master Roshi blow up the moon in Dragon Ball? So how did the Earth's moon come back in this saga? It didn't come back in this saga. Now, I'm not going to be a dick to you because you haven't done anything wrong. But if you read the manga or you watch the anime in Dragon Ball, Kami, also known as God, when Goku went up to train with him before the 23rd tournament, brought back the Dragon Balls, brought back the moon, and removed Goku's tail to prevent him from becoming a great ape ever again. He actually permanently got rid of his tail.
Right.
I was going to say something about Daima, but I won't anyways. So I gave too much away. But anyways, that's what happened. That's what happened. And it was done off screen. That was something Goku explained. It wasn't something that we saw. In fact, I think so I think the short was called What Happened to Goku's Tail. So, yeah. Parth Mandavgain, have you played Black Myth Wukong? I have not. I have seen it being played, and Jordan has played it, right?
Yeah, I have.
We talked about it a few weeks ago, didn't we?
I really enjoy it, but I do stand by the idea that if you are going to play the game, you should have some sort of an understanding of the novel, because there's some stuff they just don't teach you.
If you go back to the Super Magic Show episode I did with Jordan, which I believe was episode 4, and you watch that whole thing, we talk about Black Myth Wukong, but also in that video, go down to the comments. I think in the comments I put a pinned comment that will link you to a Journey to the West comic. That's like the best way to get in. So Gohan's by himself. He takes a leak off the fucking side of the fucking whatchamacallit, and then he sees the moon. We know what happens. Piccolo's in trouble. Piccolo's never seen this before because he wasn't around when Goku did it in early Dragon Ball, so he's never experienced it. Now remember, this is Gohan with his rage completely out, with no control. He's fucking just demolishing everything. Piccolo's like never seen power like this because
he's like, what the heck? Like, I love his reaction.
His face, yeah. You know,
especially
and then
considered that Goku had the Great Ape behind him when he killed King Piccolo, you know, like that whole symbolism, like whenever that happened back then, and then like fast forward to this situation where he's seeing Gohan become, it's just so cool. It's great storytelling.
Yeah, and I actually, when I was younger, this episode of DBZ wasn't my favorite, but when I got older, I appreciated it a lot more. At the time, man, the Great Apes were the most dangerous thing in the series. I mean, that's when you knew it. So Piccolo realized it was the moon and one-shots the fucking moon, which was a huge feat, even though Master Roshi did it in Dragon Ball. And of course, that leads to Gohan shrinking. Jordan was able to cover up Gohan's little dick because we don't want to see that on stream. And he's out. And Piccolo understands that, look what he says. If a boy could cause all of this damage, I shudder to think what these two Saiyans could have done. Now, that right there is also foreshadowing because we do see a controlled Uzaru for the first time in the fight with Vegeta later on. I think Toriyama already knew in his head that he was going to eventually have Vegeta. I don't think it would have been Nappa. Vegeta would have become a Great Ape because the idea behind that storytelling is Goku becoming a Great Ape in Dragon Ball was a problem for everybody else. Now Goku has to face off against the Great Ape. And again, that's why my favorite arcs are the 23rd tournament and the Saiyan Saga, because so much stuff from the past is brought back and tied in new and interesting ways. And I'm not saying I don't like the Frieza, the Cell, and the Buu arcs. It's just everything just felt so much more connected here.
Yeah.
You know? So he takes off the tail, and then Piccolo does something uncharacteristic of a villain. Using his ability to manifest clothing gives Gohan the Goku doji, except that the symbol on the back is that of the Mazoku.
The Demon Clan.
Demon Clan.
That's very, very important. Just remember, he just saw him turn into a Great Ape, and then he zapped him with the Demon Clan gi. Now, this brings me to the filler that I wanted to talk about, because this is something that you don't get to see in the manga.
Yeah. I just want to say that's the end of the chapter. Then we're on chapter 209, which is we're getting ready now. Now we're getting ready. But go ahead.
So the filler I wanted to talk about, there's this really cool filler in the anime where Gohan is asleep out in the wilderness, and Goku's pod is nearby. Do you remember this?
Yeah, of course. That's Dragon Ball Z. That's Dragon Ball Z episode 18.
Yeah, so there's Goku's pod is nearby, and Gohan.
I don't need a writer to write my videos for me, bro. It's all in here. Go ahead.
Gohan wakes up because he's enraged because he has a dream where Raditz is killing Goku. So not only is what I love about that episode is the fact that Goku's alarm is going off because of the full moon, which kind of suggests that their pods wait until a full moon to wake up the kids. I think that's a really, really cool detail by the anime staff that a lot of people look over. I love that about that episode. But also, he simultaneously gets woken up by Goku's pod while also having a dream about Raditz killing his dad. So he wakes up mad. And he looks at the moon, and at that point, he doesn't have his tail, right? This is after.
And it wasn't the moon; it was the pod projecting a moon.
Right. And he saw the moon, and the illusion of the moon, and then he starts going feral. Now that's very, very important because he didn't have a tail at the time, but despite that, seeing the moon made him go feral. Now, Gohan is wearing the Demon Clan gi. He is being affected by the moon the way demons are affected by demons and by the moon in Chinese mythology. And he's also under the effects of his rage, which also is known to bring out people's demonic nature. So he ends up growing his tail back in that filler as a result of being subjected to the artificial moon. But what I love about that episode is it's so unbelievably blatant about the themes of Gohan's character at that time. He's literally wearing the Demon Clan gi. He's being affected by the moon the way demons are affected by the moon in Chinese mythology. He's acting rabid and more demonic-like. And he also ends up growing his tail back and turning into a great ape. That is the series being extremely blatant about what exactly they are playing on in terms of Gohan's character themes at that point in the series. And I love that. And that's just more motivation for me to believe that, yes, that's probably what they're going to end up doing with the Saiyans is giving them demonic roots in the form of the Great Ape. So that's just something I wanted to talk about.
Yes. I can't argue with that. Xavier says, doesn't Piccolo destroy Goku's space pod? And doesn't Dr. Briefs use Goku's old pod to make it into a gravity chamber to go to Namek? Yes, that is a contradiction. That's what happens when the anime does what it wants without talking to Toriyama, which happened a lot in those days. You wouldn't believe how many Dragon Ball fans actually think that Toriyama worked on the anime. Well, he did work on the anime and that he drew stuff for them and stuff like that, but Toriyama was not there writing the filler. That was all Koyama and Morishita. And sometimes they would go in different directions from Toriyama, which is why there's contradictions about the afterlife and hell and stuff like that. That's one of them right there. While I agree with Jordan that episode is a fun episode to watch, it's actually, trivia note, it's the first episode I ever saw in the Spanish dub. And that's when I fell in love with the Spanish dub because it was uncensored. And they had the original music. And I was going nuts over it. But yes, it does create a contradiction. But the episode in and of itself is a good episode, I thought.
Yeah, I agree.
So this is all somewhat comedy because Bulma finally figured out how to get the scouter going. And she is, playing around with the scouter. It's not anything too big story related. The big takeaway from this is that Yajirobe makes an appearance, and Yajirobe was sent there by Karin, who is a hermit and a demigod, and told the Z fighters, you need to go up there and train with Goku because train with Kami. Because remember, in between the Piccolo and 23rd tournament, Goku trained with God. Here, they're going to get that training.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And they get really strong from training with him, too.
Yeah. I wish, he said, I wish Tori did the live action one instead of whoever did it. Brother, if you're talking about evolution, nobody should have even done that movie. And let's not forget, when that movie was first coming out, Toriyama was like, yeah, it's not my vision, but let's see. And then when he finally saw it, bro, he was like, they didn't consult with me on anything. I thought it was garbage. I'm paraphrasing, but he didn't like it. He was positive at first when it got announced, probably because they would be cutting him a check. But when he finally saw it, he was like, fuck this. So, let's continue. This is the part where they're going to go and train with God, and then guess who shows up? It's Ox King and Chi-Chi, who's very mad because she still doesn't know what happened to Gohan, and this is when they break the news, and she faints. Then we cut to the heavenly realm, the sacred realm, Kami's lookout, censorship, the heavenly realm, and this is where they're all there, and they're training They're basically doing the same training that Goku did in Dragon Ball. It's just we don't see a lot of it. However, back to the filler we talked about. There is a wonderful episode of Dragon Ball Z where the Z fighters go into the pendulum room and go back in time to face ancient Saiyans. That's a good episode too, because they get their asses kicked and they realize we're not ready yet.
Yep.
Yeah. So there you go. Meanwhile, we're back to Goku on the Serpentine Road, the Snake Way. And this is more of just Gohan kind of in the jungle learning. Again, the anime Z era really expounded upon it. He says time chamber. Don't get it twisted. The pendulum room is not the room of spirit and time. Now, it's more of a time chamber than the hyperbolic time chamber, as they say, because that's a stupid name that Barry Watson came up with. It's really called the Room of Spirit and Time, but it's not the same room. It's a different room in the palace. So here we have Gohan finally learning how to cook. He can control his ki now. He lights a log and he fucking cooks meat that he chopped off the tail of the dinosaur. So the hunter has now become the hunted. Now, again, the anime, because there's 15 or so episodes of filler, make this feel like a more natural, slow progression. But in the manga, time has passed. It's already been a few months. And now Piccolo says, now it's time for the real test. Chapter 210, the father and son's harsh training. Now, this is a very important panel because even though Goku is the main character of Dragon Ball from start to finish, Toriyama, with introducing Gohan, Gohan is the secondary main character, not Vegeta. Vegeta is a side character. Now, with Super, it kind of is Goku and Vegeta's show because they're always together. But with Dragon Ball, when we get to this part, Gohan is definitely the second main character.
Yeah.
And I like this because it's a juxtaposition of the training that Goku will have to get from the Northern Kai and Gohan too. So here we have Piccolo kicking his ass. This is the dodge stuff that Team 4-Star makes fun of.
You know, it's funny in hindsight, now that Daima's out, they're both being trained by demons.
Wait, what do you mean?
King Kai as well as Piccolo, they're both being trained.
Oh, well, hold on. They said that the Supreme Kai's race are Glins. They didn't say that those Kais were Glins. You know what I mean?
So, but King Kai does have pointy ears.
That's true. I guess, I have a theory that we're going to, well, not a theory. Well, it's kind of a theory. We're going to find out a lot more about the Namekians and the Supreme Kais when we get to Demon World 2 in Daima, because Piccolo will be with them. And then I think we're going to, we'll find out more there. I hope. I mean, I actually think one of the reasons Piccolo even is in this show is so that he can learn more about himself or his past, his ancestors. So it says here we only have 6 more months. So we're 6 months away from the arrival of Vegeta and Nappa. Meanwhile, Goku is finally at the end of the road and he doesn't know what to do. He sees that little tiny planetoid right there. That is the realm of the Northern Kai, known as Kaio-sama. Now, in the dub, they call him King Kai, which isn't necessarily the worst translation. Kaio-sama means Lord of Worlds or something like that. Yeah. I always just call him Northern Kai or North Kaio. And this is the next tier of God that Goku meets. This is obviously, we had Kami, then we had King Yema, now we have this guy. This is also the beginning of what would be known as gravity training, because Goku realizes the gravity here in on this planetoid is different than on Earth. And that would inspire him to tell Dr. Brief to make a gravity device for the ship to go to Namek, which is what Vegeta would always be using to train. So, yes, Bubbles is here.
20-eared monkeys.
Yeah, well, this part is sort of like Goku going back to his roots as an ape, but I always thought this part was hilarious, both dub
Me
and sub,
too.
because Goku's.
When people try to say that Goku was like way more intelligent in Dragon Ball Z, this is the scene that I always think of because he legit thought that Bubbles was King Kai. I'm like, come on, bro.
And he's mimicking the training.
Yeah.
Then he finally sees the real Kaio and he's like, oh, hello. You know, his face right there though is fucking funny, bro. So, and again, bro, Dragon Ball was never serious, bro. It was never meant to be that serious. So this whole thing is basically, in order for Goku to get training, he has to make him laugh. Now, again, this is Toriyama going back to being silly, and Dragon Ball's never meant to be that serious. And yes, Mecha J is correct. Bubbles was named after Michael Jackson's Monkey Bubbles. That is legitimately where Toriyama got the name from. So here we basically have a situation where he has to make him laugh, and then he gets training. Now this scene, what happens here is it's tricky. So I have watched this scene in 3 different languages: Japanese, Spanish, and 2 different English dubs. And there's probably more out there. Every single version of this scene is different. And I'll tell you why. Because the puns don't make sense unless you speak the native language. So what they had to do when they were translating Dragon Ball is they had to like change the puns around to make sense. So the jokes are different. And actually, Master Wings 50 is correct. The jokes are different from anime and manga. This scene right here is tricky because you almost, you know how I am. I don't like dub changes, but you almost have to change it for it to make sense. You know what I mean? How do you feel about this part, like in the translations?
Okay, so translations are a big thing. You know, I've seen people debate translations for years in this fandom.
We're debating in the server right now about Daima because I thought the Daima dub was fine. Griffin and Omni were like, no, they changed a lot of lines, but I didn't think they egregiously changed the story that much. So I was fine.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why some people would want the script to be 1-to-1. Like, I can understand that. Like,
me too, because I like it to be closer too.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything against that. But that being said, though, I think the reason they have that complaint is because it's within their power to do that at this point with Daima, and that they would just prefer that, which is fine. Like, I can totally see why.
I agree with Griffin on that. I agree with him 100% on that.
Where they're coming from there. But in terms of like translation in general, especially in particular when it comes to the manga, I've been told countless times that translating Japanese into English is not easy, and that I've
talked about it all the time,
and it's almost impossible to do it perfectly in some cases. So you just kind of have to take what you can get in that sense, you know.
Now I want to, Benjamin, my friend. They say not to expose yourself. He says Keen-tone in the manga was translated to Nimbus in the anime. No, it's Keen-tone in the anime too. Nimbus is a dub name. It's only called Flying Nimbus in the dub. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad name. Flying Nimbus is a fine name. I don't have a problem with it. Like, the thing is with dub changes, I've talked about before how much I hate them, but I don't hate all of them. I think some of them are necessary. And I think this is an example where a dub change is necessary. I'll give you another example with Daima in just a minute. Let me get Xavier's super chat. Are Pumpkin and Braco comparable to Raditz? I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Is that a manga that Toriyama wrote, Pumpkin and Braco?
I thought that was, aren't they movie like henchmen?
From which movie? From the first movie? Because if so, I forgot their fucking dude. Lord Slug and Garlic Jr.'s henchmen. I forget their names all the time. They're just not important to me. So yeah. I don't remember. I'm not
sure. I think it's either from the Lord Slug film or the Turles film, but I don't know.
So I want to talk about real quick one of the things they did in Daima. So when I went to go see Daima dubbed, one of the things that surprised me is that they refer to demon realm inhabitants as Majin. Now, I've talked about this almost every week in my reviews and in my breakdowns. When you say the word Majin, you're not talking about Majin Buu. You're talking about people from the demon realm. Anybody from there can be called a Majin. However, in the hold on, Luigi Robo Spice Boys is another dub name, bro. They're called like the Four Guardians in Japan. Y'all gotta watch the sub, my friend. Y'all gotta stop with this dub shit. Watch the sub. But anyways, in the Daima dub, they use the word Majin.
Oh,
now
they're talking about the ancient Saiyans that Ten Shinhan and them fought.
Yeah, they were comparable. Yes, I forgot their names. They were comparable to Raditz, I believe. Yeah, they were. Right. Yes, I believe they were. That was anime. That was in the anime. But what I wanted to say was, this guy said, how about Jins? Is that different? There are no Jins in Dragon Ball. When you see Jin Buu in the manga, that's Viz taking liberties. Again, I don't want to make this into a dub versus sub debate or any of that. This is a lot of people get confused, and I'm not blaming you for being confused. Like Jordan said, translating Japanese to English can be very difficult. Yeah. Does Jin mean demon or devil in Japanese? I can tell that you're new here. Jin means people of. Saya Jin, people of the Saya, aka Saiyan. Namek Jin, people of Namek. Jin means people of. So when you say Majin Buu, you're saying a demon person. Buu. Yeah. Majin Buu literally translates to demon person Buu or demon race Buu. My point is, in Daima, the dub, they referred to the inhabitants of the demon realm as Majins, and while the happy side of me, no, not you, bro, I know you've been sub, I'm talking about the other guy. The happy side of me is like, hey, this is refreshing. I'm also thinking in myself, there's going to be so many dub fans that are going to think they're talking about Boo. You know what I'm saying? Like, whenever they do shit like this, I'm always conflicted because there's going to be so many dub fans who are going to be like, what? Are there more Majin? Because if people in the dub think that when they hear Majin, they're thinking Majin Buu, Majin Vegeta, maybe Dabura. When Majin Vegeta is what they call Vegeta when he had the Babidi spell put on him. But he was never called Majin Vegeta in the manga. It's just an easy way to differentiate Majin Vegeta from Vegeta. Yeah, I think he was called like Prince of Darkness Vegeta or some shit like that. But the point I'm trying to make is that translations are tricky, bro. That's the bottom line. Shaman Henderson says, if Daima dub did so well, why can't Z's dub and Dragon Ball dub do better back then? Same with GT and Super. I've talked about this, and I probably should do a longer form video about it. And if you want to know the answer, Shamar, you got to listen to my Chris Sabat interview from 2016. When they were dubbing Dragon Ball and Z, there was a guy that worked there named Barry Watson who insisted on changing everything and Americanizing Dragon Ball Z because Funimation at the time, what this guy said, assumed that American kids like me and all of you were stupid. They thought we were dumb. So they had to dumb down Dragon Ball. They had to change the characters. They had to censor anything involving gods and demons. You think the demon realm is fucking new, bro? This demon shit's been going on since fucking Piccolo. And it's like, well, he's not Demon King Piccolo. We're just going to call him King Piccolo because there was censorship back then. Yeah. Big triggers. America wasn't even ready for anime. They're late. They were ready. It's just that, but I agree with you in that they were still stuck in the past. Sabat told me that they were worried about being attacked by fundamentalist Christian groups that were going to say, oh, you have a character in your show named God, not understanding that Japanese culture is different. And because of all these dub changes, they fucking have confused millions. And I try to save them, but I'm only one man. Right. Anyways, let's keep going. I didn't want to spend that much time on that. So, chapter 210. Do your best with Kaio-sama, dead Son Goku. This is Goku getting accustomed to the planetoid gravity. Also, take note that in the original manga, there is no Gregory. Gregory. He was added for the anime. And when they went back to do Kai, they couldn't just erase him from Kai. So he's there. And
Yeah.
people will say, oh, well, Kai's the same as the manga. No, it's not, because there's stuff they had to keep in because they couldn't just erase him.
Yeah.
So basically, this is just them, Roshi, Kaio-sama explaining to Goku, how to get that he has to catch bubbles, which is really a training exercise. That's really what this is. It's not, he says, I won't train you unless you catch bubbles, but it's a training exercise to get Goku's body accustomed to the gravity. Xavier says, I was talking about the pendulum room saying,
yeah, we figured it out, bro.
No, we figured it out earlier. Yeah, you might be behind on the stream a little bit, bro. Jordan told me, and it made sense to me when you were talking about.
Yeah.
So anyways, Goku does catch him, right? And eventually, and it's going to lead to him learning the Kaioken, which is a big deal at this part of the series. Meanwhile, Gohan is beat the fuck up. Again, the original Ocean dub censored all this stuff. Like, Gohan wasn't, we can't have a kid with blood on TV. It was so censored, bro. And you have to understand, when I was 13 years old and I watched the censored dub, and then I got my hands on the Japanese and Spanish versions, and there was blood and cursing and gods and devils. You don't think I was like, fuck this English shit, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was 13, bro. South Park was on the air. I didn't fucking want to see fucking this Americanized shit. And that's what they gave us. That's why, like, I still have anger for that dub, because so many people have been brainwashed by it because of all the changes they made.
Right.
So Piccolo's talking to Gohan about the fight with Goku. Is that your cat fucking meowing in the background, bro?
Maybe.
Ain't for me, bro. I ain't got no animals here. So this part's cool, because Gohan says that Goku told him about Piccolo, and then he says, you're not as bad as you used to be after you died and came back, which is, of course, the Demon King Piccolo, not this Piccolo dying and coming back.
Right.
Anger, yikes. Yeah, bro, I'm angry because I'm tired of people. I'm angry for your sake, bro. I'm angry because I don't like fans being lied to.
Yeah.
You think I don't want you being lied to, my friend. Just like when I get mad when somebody posts a fake leak or some bullshit, like, it pisses me. Or when I get called a liar, it does piss me off. The censored dub is what made DBZ mainstream in America. That's bullshit. I can tell you right now, that's bullshit. Like, we have numbers to prove that you're wrong about that. If Dragon Ball Z aired without censorship, it would have been 10 times bigger than it was censored. You're basically advocating censorship, bro. And that's not cool. If you really want, like, to watch the kiddie fucking pussy little version of DBZ, bro, go watch it. Most people want to see the real shit. Well, maybe not most people, but the ones that get exposed to it do. So anyways, This is more of the training. I love the art here. Goku's still trying to catch bubbles. He comes close. He gets him. And then Roshi's like, we got 118 days remaining. He may be the one to master the Kaioken. So does that mean that others have tried to master the Kaioken?
That's what I've always thought he was suggesting, is that he's tried.
They failed?
Yeah. But it does make you wonder who he's taught before.
Well, also, it makes you wonder how he even discovered it, because it's called the Kaioken because it's named after him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he discovered it, but he didn't master it, which is weird. But I guess it's kind of like how when you watch MMA fighters, when you watch MMA fighters from the 90s versus MMA fighters now, they know a lot more now. He says nobody wanted to air DBZ Uncut in America. That's actually not entirely correct. The international channel aired Uncut DBZ in America. But you're right. That's my point. They censored Dragon Ball Z because they felt like an uncut DBZ would never fucking work. And that's wrong, because we've learned now that people would have watched it. You know how I know? Because anime now is in some ways worse and gorier than DBZ, and it's all over TV anyways.
Yep.
Now you can say shit. I don't know if you guys know this, but when I was a kid, you couldn't say shit or tits on television. Now, after 8 p.m., you can. The world has changed a lot. So
it's true.
So, anyways, now it's the trading. We're going to see the Z fighters here. We don't see the pendulum room stuff. This is basically like a montage. Toriyama's given us a montage of all the different fights. This image right here of Goku, Piccolo, Tenshinhan, Krillin, Yamcha, Gohan, and Yajirobe, they used it for the anime, and it was so fucking cool, bro, because they had them come in from the sides and shit in one of the episodes. Dragon Ball Z was so fucking stylish, bro. Like, fuck. And so the battle hour draws near. Here come the two ships. They were
excited to adapt it. You could tell. They were really excited to adapt it.
The time has come, bro, because they're here. Chapter 212, The Saiyans Approach. I love this shot because it's basically got the entire crew from, except for Gohan, from the 23rd tournament, ready to face off against this new threat. Deep in the reaches of space, a deadly duo inexorably hurtles toward the Earth. Meanwhile, and this is Goku trying to learn the Genki Dama, known in America as the Spirit Bomb. Now, the Spirit Bomb is a nice name for the move, but one of the things that gets lost in translation, I have a video coming out about this, is that the Genki Dama does not mean Spirit Bomb. Genki is health energy. When Goku taps into energy for the Spirit Bomb, it's not just regular energy. It's health energy. It's a specific kind of energy, which is why when people were saying that when the androids gave their energy to Goku in the Tournament of Power and in the Buu Saga, well, don't they have a limited energy? That's not Genki. Two different types of energy, but again, lost in translation. These are things that people don't know about, and I don't blame them for not knowing, but I'm here to make you. My whole YouTube channel is about getting people to learn more about this shit, to understand it better, and part of the way to do that is to watch it in Japanese because there's so much changes. So here's Goku learning the Genki Dama, which would be a signature move of his that would come back all the way in the end. Now, let's talk about this. He says, remember, the Genki Dama is a martial arts discipline that allows you to borrow a small amount of energy from all surrounding life, including plants, animals, people, even the air itself, and then concentrates it and releases it. Even on the planet as small as this, the Genki Dama has that much destructive force. Just imagine what you can... Yeah, just imagine what you can do with a Genki Dama formed on Earth. Your planet is much larger than mine, and you'll also have tremendous energy of the sun to draw from. If you are not careful, you could destroy the very planet you're trying to protect. It is a planet buster.
Yeah. And that's something else that people overlook about what King Kai said. I've seen so many people misconstrue Goku not being able to be killed by the Spirit Bomb with his ability to manipulate the energy of the Spirit Bomb. Those are two very, very different things. Goku can be hurt by the Spirit Bomb, but he has to be pure of heart to manipulate the energy that you gather in order to create the Spirit Bomb. The Spirit Bomb can still backfire and destroy Earth and Goku. It's just that he can also use his pure heart to manipulate the energy and move it wherever he wants to and take advantage of his ability to manipulate it. That's something a lot of people get wrong about the Spirit Bomb.
I also, to take it back to when Super was on the air, and this is going to sound egotistical, but it's not. Trust me. When the Ultra Instinct episode happened, there were a lot of YouTubers that did Ultra Instinct explain videos and had no fucking clue what they were talking about. I saw people say, oh, Goku tapped into Ultra Instinct because of the Spirit Bomb energy. Wrong. That's not what happened. You don't know what you're talking about. This is what happens when you grow up on the dub or you don't think things through. In my Ultra Instinct explained video, which is at like over 1 million views, I discussed that the reason as to why Goku tapped into Ultra Instinct is because, like we talked about, his survival instinct kicked in because Jiren shot the blast back at him. He knew if it hit him, he was going to die. He had to use all his energy to make it not kill him because he knew that would have killed him. And that's what broke his limits inside of his body to tap into Super Saiyan. And I think I might be the only YouTuber who got it right at that time. And it's not.
You probably were.
Yeah, because, dude, I watched a lot of them, bro. And I was like, fuck, people are going to get the wrong idea.
Yeah.
And to this day, dude, it's the other day I ranted about it. There was a guy on the Super Magic show. They were like, "Oh, with the mortal levels being what they aren't?" And I was like, "Mortal." And I made the video. I said, "Mortal levels have nothing to do with the power of the people." Yeah. And there are so many YouTubers back then who made videos saying, "Oh, the mortal level is about power." And the thing is, I can't reach out to these fucking guys and say, hey, stop fucking misleading the community, because I tried that shit for the first like 4 years I was on YouTube. Some people don't care. And this is not me taking shots at anybody, but point blank, look, you got people who do what ifs, you got people who do fucking fan fiction, and I respect all that. If you want the good information, you got to come to me. And that's not gloating. I've done my fucking homework. Like, I wouldn't fucking, the fact that fucking I got everybody in 3 different countries asking me questions, including those that work on Dragon Ball, should say something. It's not gloating. I took my time to learn this shit. Jordan is very similar, except Jordan has more knowledge than me on Sayuki. So we can kind of come together, bro. Pause. So anyways, they realize that time has run out. The Saiyans are coming. And Goku thought that Kai had the power to just warp him back. He's like, no, you got to go back through Snake Way. You got to go the other way. He freaks out. And this is when Goku puts his hand behind Kaio the first time to speak to the mortals. And this is where and Master Roshi's taking a shit. And I love how in the anime, the turtle's outside. I think it was a turtle was outside, and they were like, is he talking to himself while he's taking a dump? See, that's the kind of comedy I like, bro. So Goku says, listen, you need to wish me back now. And Roshi gets up from taking a shit. I love this fucking manga.
Yeah, bro.
And fucking Goku's freaking out. Kaio-sama gives him a new gi with the Kaio logo behind it, the symbol. No, I can back it up, and that's why I'm saying this is not ego. Like, I take my time with this shit. But I've made mistakes, too. I mean, I'm not perfect. Meanwhile, on Earth, they've got the Dragon Balls. They brought them to Earth. This part, Oolong says, should we just get rid of the Saiyans and then we have a better issue? And he says, I was created by Kami. This is an impossible request. Thus, I cannot grant wishes beyond his power. What that basically means is that even though the dragon is a god in and of itself, Kami is not stronger than the Saiyans. So in order for the dragon to kill somebody, it has to be somebody who's weaker than Kami. However, Dragon Ball Daima introduced the idea of white and black wishes. Black wishes is wishing for murder. And I got to do a whole video about this, bro. I've been slacking. Yeah, maybe I might do it at the end of Daima. And white wishes are like, okay, let's bring Goku back to life. Let's make them all kids again. If Goma had asked the dragon to kill Goku and his friends, it would not have worked.
No.
So then whatever, let's just get to the shit. Fucking Goku's back to life. We know this. Basically, Kaio's telling him, the enemy's more powerful than you can imagine, etc., etc. Goku's on his way back. What unfathomable strength that man has, and his heart is even clearer than crystal. I never imagined someone like him existed in the lower realm. Still, his sense of humor wasn't that great. Next time he'll come, I'll train him on that. I love it, bro. He says that in the anime too.
Yeah, that's Toriyama coming through King Kai for sure.
Here's a trivia question. When did the Saiyans arrive? The next morning at 11:33 a.m. It happened at last. After weeks and weeks of buildup in the manga, longer in the
anime. I love how specific that is. 11:33.
Deadly Tagura, I don't think that would have worked. I don't think that would have worked either, bro. Maybe they could have turned them into kids, though. Maybe that would have worked. Yep. They should have done what Goma did, bro. So they're here. This is East City, known as the Eastern Capital. And away we go with chapter 213, the Saiyans Arrive, which is really when shit gets up. These two big craters on the planet. People wonder what the fuck's going on. Here comes Vegeta with his correct colors. Oh my God, it's an alien invasion. You know, they're freaking out. Piccolo senses, and even Gohan senses that there's somebody really strong that just everybody. These guys are so strong that they are in different parts of the earth and still being sensed by the good guys.
I love how spiritually, like spiritually themed Dragon Ball as a whole is, while also having the aesthetics of sci-fi films. Like them all feeling their energy and reacting to it in that way. It has a very, very similar vibe as an alien invasion in like sci-fi films, where everybody sees the aliens coming down from Earth and they're like, "Oh my God!" Like they're absolutely. Basically, it plays on that idea of being shocked from otherworldly creatures coming down to Earth. But since they are spiritual characters, what's freaking them out is how strong they are in terms of their chi, not just their existence or the fact that they're aliens that are coming down from Earth, but how ridiculously powerful they are. Like, I love that. I think that's great. It's a really cool like hybrid of like sci-fi movies and like kung fu and stuff. Like, I love it.
One of the things too that we have not talked about that I want to briefly get into, and Black and Fist did a whole video about this. One of the things Toriyama would do often is he would have the duo characters, usually a bigger guy and a smaller guy. For example, we've got Vegeta and Nappa. We had Piccolo and a piano for a time. We have Babidi and Majin Buu. It's something Beerus and Whis. We always have characters showing up in pairs. Right. Now, the reason as to why he did that, which this goes back to like writing stories 101, is if you and Android 17 and 18, there's a lot of examples of pairs. Tagoma and Sorbet. It goes on and on and on and on and on. Because when you introduce two characters, they can interact with each other. If you just introduce one, he's either going to be talking to himself, which is weird, or you'll be hearing his thoughts, which that could work in some instances, but it's more interesting to have two characters talking to each other because it's realistic and it allows for banter. You see it in movies too. I mean, this is not a Dragon Ball thing. It's smarter to introduce characters when you have more than one.
Well, he also always has the characters mirror each other in some cool way too.
And like, that goes back to Shakespeare.
Right? Yeah, even Nappa and Vegeta, like Nappa is like a lumbering ape. Like, he's very dumb. Like, he might be one of the dumbest characters in Dragon Ball. Let's just be real. And Vegeta, because he's an ego-themed character, he's very, very psychologically like there. He's very intelligent in that sense. So he's a really cool like parallel to Nappa in that way. Like, I think the pairing of the two was really cool. A lot of people look at Nappa and Vegeta as like both being very barbaric, and in some ways they are. But I think Vegeta really contrasts Nappa in the sense that he seems more intelligent and human-like in comparison to Nappa. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, Nappa's like the thing is funny about Toriyama is usually the smaller guy's the stronger guy. And that goes back to like the old cartoons where it's like the big guy scared of the little guy, or like in Goodfellas when Joe Pesci's short but he's like the dangerous. Classic. K Cruiser, I almost missed your super chat. He says, personally, I think the Nickelodeon version of Kai did a pretty good job making Dragon Ball somewhat accurate and still okay for daytime TV. That is not the Nickelodeon version of Kai. That is still Kai done by Funimation. The people that made it accurate was Chris Sabat, Raleigh Pickens, and the Okatron people. Those are the ones that made it accurate, not Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon had absolutely no say in Kai whatsoever. What happened was when Kai was completed, because Kai, let me explain to you how it works. They were dubbing Kai originally to be put on Toonami and for home release. Nickelodeon came along and said, hey, we want to air some Dragon Ball. We saw how big it was back in the day, paid them money and did some censorship, but it wasn't Funimation and Saban and them that did it. They just recorded the shit. So that's how it worked. Kai was originally just being dubbed for a home video audience or for Toonami. And what's interesting is Kai wound up on Toonami later. Like, Kai didn't start on Toonami. It was on Nickelodeon first and then wound up on Toonami later, which I think is kind of a different thing, than ever. Yeah. So I'm just letting you know. I'm just giving you more information, bro. People say all the time, if you ask me what time it is, I'll tell you how to make a watch. That's Sean Schemmel said that about me, bro. Speaking of which, so Nappa does his fucking move that I did to your mom last night, like this, and the entire fucking East City exploded. And these motherfuckers were like, what the fuck? And look at this shot right here. Toriyama showing, it's some shit when there's a shot from space, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. And don't forget in the English dub, because remember, we can't have dying. In the original dub, Vegeta goes, too bad it's Sunday and those buildings were abandoned because nobody can die for it. Because remember, guys, American kids are too stupid to understand death, so they had to make it so nobody died. Yep. And you wonder, Keaton, why do you hate the dub? Because I don't like having my intelligence insulted, and you should be on my side. Fuck your nostalgia. You should be on my side. You should say, you know what? That motherfucker's right. And that's why, like, I think some people don't like me, because I'm very blunt and I'm very straightforward, and people are intimidated by that shit. Like, I'm talking about the pussies on Twitter and shit. Oh, you're an asshole. No, I'm very honest. I just tell you what I think, and that's it, because I have respect for you. When you start crying about shit, that's when I lose respect for you. So do you want to watch the kidified fucking pussy version of DBZ? Go watch it, bro, to your heart's content. But they censored it, and that's why I became a fan of the Japanese version, because I wanted it uncut. Junior says favorite Christmas song and $5 milkshake. Well, you gave me $1.99, bro. So give me another $3 and I can get that $5 milkshake. What's your favorite Christmas song?
What's my favorite Christmas song?
I mean, he's asking both of us, I assume, bro. I don't know if I have a favorite.
I don't have a favorite Christmas song. I'll just be honest with you. I do not have a favorite Christmas song.
I don't know if I do either. You know what it is? It's probably the dirty version of Jingle Bell. Suck on my cock. You ever heard that one?
That. Yeah.
Yeah. You know my sense of humor.
Yeah.
I want that $5 milkshake from Pulp Fiction. My favorite movie of all time, bro. God damn, it's a fucking good milkshake. I don't know if it's worth $5. It's pretty fucking good. Yeah, bro. John Travolta, bro. I gotta put that movie on the server again, bro. That's my favorite movie of all time.
It's a good movie.
I have an idea. If there's an English dub fan, put them in timeout. I don't want to do that. The idea is not to punish people to watch the dub. The idea is for people to learn how fucking
horrible it is.
Yeah. Xavier says, I saw Kai on Cartoon Network. I don't know why I'm getting a call again in the middle of the day. It's another solicitor. Fuck you. So, all right. It says, I saw Kai on Cartoon Network, Nicktoons, CW, Toonami, and Kabylion. I don't know what the fuck Kabylion is. Also, you think if the Z Fighters would have won, they put their energy into one person. Oh, like in the Broly movie? Maybe. If that person was Goku or maybe Piccolo. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that'd be a very satisfying victory, though.
I am going to say this, and I may lose brownie points with some people. I've actually never seen all of Kai. I've seen some of Kai. I've seen many episodes, but there are some episodes of Kai I've never seen before in the middle and stuff like that because I had no reason to watch them. So I've never actually seen every single episode of Kai. And I hopefully people understand, like, I had no reason to watch Kai because I already had Z and I was happy with it. But I did try out some things to like see what changed and stuff like that. Right. And the dub is good. The dub is good. So, anyways, now they're trying to find the guy with the highest power level because they know people are waiting for them, and you know, there they go. And look, the gravity here is so low, it feels like I'm weightless. See, that's bad because it means they're going to be really fast.
Yep.
Now they're all getting ready. They're all coming together. Bulma knows what's up, and then here comes Goku. So now we've got this classic Dragon Ball Z tension. Now we've got the stakes, as they say, what Super was missing. People are over here like, oh shit, I need to binge Kai too at some point just so I can get it out of my system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's 12:20 p.m. and sensing the impending violence, the birds and animals of the area begin to flee. They know they're coming. Krillin shows up first. Gohan is freaked out. He remembers Krillin. They're here. The time for small talk is over. What
so
a great...
Go to this panel, up to the left, go left.
This one?
Down. Yeah, read that. Go up. No, what Krillin is saying. Right.
So those two are the Saiyans, huh? Man, their ki feels like a huge demonic aura.
Huh.
I'll tell you what, if Daima does reveal this, I mean, I know you'll be happy because you love being right. You're like the opposite of JD, bro. You say shit and it comes true. He says shit and it doesn't come true, bro. Remember, he's like a cursed guy. Kenobi's the best Star Wars show. Nope. Granola will use UI. He's like, if he ever says, Danny, you're gonna live a long life, I'm probably gonna get hit by a car the next day, bro.
Oh yeah. And if you remember during the whole Granola UI thing, I was like, please stop. Like every time he would say it, I'd be like, dude, it's not gonna happen. Please stop.
But the funniest part about it was he was telling you, me, Alex, Unreal 8 Gaming, and Emish, and Emish and Alex were like, bro, like, you know, and we were all telling him, like, just wait for it. And it didn't happen.
Right.
But maybe someday it will, because Granola's not dead yet in the super timeline, so maybe they'll bring him back.
True.
I like all this shit, bro. Like, I like when they show up. I like that I like all this, bro. This is the classic Dragon Ball Z that got people hooked. For all the shit I say about the dub being censored, no matter how censored the dub was, a good show is a good show. The writing, in spite of the censorship, got people hooked because it's not the fight. I'm going to share something with you. A long time ago, when I was into MMA, I'm still into MMA, but when I first was getting into MMA, one of the things that was told to me about boxing, MMA, which is UFC, and wrestling, is that people don't pay just for the fight. People pay for the moment before the fight when the two fighters are about to confront each other, because that's when there's butterflies. The audience has butterflies. The fighters have butterflies. The coaches, the families of the fighters, and the people who bet money. That's the feeling. When Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight this week, it's not going to be the fight. It's going to be right before the fight when the tension builds up. And that's what we got right here. That face-to-face, bro. That's what sells money. That's what makes money, bro. Mm-hmm. This manga cover is beautiful. Chapter 214, Vegeta's Game. So you've seen Dragon Ball Z. You know what it is. First, they want to fight. And to be honest with you, let's keep it a buck, Jordan. If these two groups right here on screen fought, if it was Vegeta and Nappa versus Gohan, Piccolo, and Krillin here, Vegeta and Nappa would have annihilated them, and the story would have been drastically changed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Like Gohan didn't know what the fuck he was doing. Krillin wasn't strong enough. Vegeta by himself could own all three of these guys.
Oh, yeah.
But because of Vegeta's game, well.
Yeah, we see what happens.
Yes. And now this is a big deal. This is the reveal that Piccolo is also an alien. Didn't Raditz clue you in? These things happen to double transmitters. Weird. That one's a Namekian. You're right. It makes a little more sense now that he'd be able to beat Raditz. Namekian? You're an alien too, Piccolo? No wonder. Really, Piccolo? In addition to having an above average power level, Namekians are said to have some mysterious abilities, as well as I've also told some are capable of performing magician-like tricks.
I wonder why.
Why did they say in Daima that everyone in the demon realm knows magic? You know what,
Yep.
bro? Toriyama, in the last couple of years he was alive, still managed to tie shit in, bro. Like it's cool. So yes, Piccolo had no idea he was a Namekian. No idea. Now, one of the things that I've talked about in my recent videos is, but Danny, what about in Daima when he said that he knows about the demon realm? He had to have known he was an alien if he's from the demon realm. That he didn't know. When he fused with Nail's memories is what gave Piccolo the memory of the demon, or of knowing about the demon realm, because the Grand Elder of Namek told Nail about the demon realm. That's how Piccolo knows.
Which is so genius on Toriyama's part.
And the guy, he's not the same writer he was before, bro, but if they fucking did Super the way they did Daima, where he's looking over the scripts and shit, like, I think it would have been a lot better. Then again, we wouldn't have Kale or Vegito Blue, but
yeah,
you never know. So now the story here is that they want the Dragon Balls, and now Piccolo's like, okay. And look, I'm more of a warrior than a simple magician, right? And then you'll learn to fight. And then this is when Kami says, I never dreamed I could be an alien. That explains why I've always felt different from everyone else. Still a great story, bro. Like, people say that Dragon Ball was supposed to end with the Frieza saga, which is a bullshit lie. But if they did, it would still be a legendary story. Like, it would still be regarded today as a great story.
Yeah, it's awesome to get to reread this during everything that's unfolding with Daima Live with all of you guys, because it does make the interesting more it does make the read more interesting, you know, that we're reading this during Daima. I think it does make it more interesting and more entertaining and enjoyable.
And remember, we planned to do this before, but you had your situation. Big trigger, brother. You're exposing yourself. Are they saying the Namekians originate from the demon realm? You have not been watching Daima. You've been a bad boy. You have not been watching Daima. That was episode 2 of Daima, bro. You have not been watching Daima. And I'm telling you right now, I'm telling everybody this. If you are waiting for Daima to end to binge it, it's going to be a mistake, because come February, you are going to get spoiled.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking, you're going to get spoiled. And I'm not talking about spoiled by me, but you will get spoiled by me on the videos I make, because I'm not going to wait to talk about this shit. I can't wait for everyone to fucking watch Daima. There's a lot of stuff coming up in Daima that are going to get people talking. They've already teased Fusion. There's new forms coming up that I've talked about here. You're going to get spoiled. If you're waiting to binge it, you're going to get spoiled, unless you're one of those guys who's not on social media, who's not anywhere, but you're not one of those guys because you're here with me. So you probably at least know that I make content on Daima. You're going to get spoiled, man. So I would advise you catch up and watch it as quickly as you can, because there's a lot of stuff coming up. And even if I don't spoil it, right? Even if I don't spoil it, right? Somebody will.
Yeah.
Especially in February. Trigger says, I only watched the first episode. Yeah, the Namekian thing is in episode 2. So, right, you catch up to episodes 2, 3, 4, and 5. I even stream them on Twitch sometimes. So here is the whole backstory about, like, you know, he had nostalgia when he made the balls, whatever.
Which is interesting because that's kind of a reference to Neva, because Neva was the first person that ever made Dragon Balls in the Demon
that we
realm.
know of. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like Kami is like reliving what Neva and the original Namekians did when they took shavings from the Dragon Balls, which is.
But Jordan, Super said it was the llama. Daima's not canon to Super.
Yeah.
You know they're looking for this shit. Like they're looking for like contradictions to say it's not canon. The people who hate Daima are trying to say that it's not canon, and the people who hate Super are trying to say that that's not canon and Daima is. It's so annoying. I'm like, bro.
Well, yeah,
give
of course,
it a rest.
At this time, they're talking about the Namekians in general and Guru, but now we can look back and see that.
And now, yeah,
the creation of the Dragon Balls dates all the way back to the Demon Realm, right?
Earlier, when we said that Beast Gohan ties back to this, I want to be honest with you guys. Neither me or Jordan are saying that Toriyama had Gohan Beast planned in 1989, but he made it work.
Yeah, he went back and looked at his previous material and played on it. That's what he does with all this story. Yeah.
I'll answer this quick one. Does Shenron have a subterranean lair? No, but the dragon gods exist in a different dimension, the dragon god dimension. I've talked about that in my Dragon Ball GT ending explain video that you loved because it was all fucking Buddhist shit. So this is another big piece of information we got to talk about. Vegeta says, fuck the scouter. He says, these fools can manipulate their energy to suit the situation. These things are worthless now. This is a big deal because this is going to come into play on planet Namek when we get to that arc. When they go to Namek, Vegeta already remembered, not only remembered, but he already... You want to take this question, bro?
Yeah, sure. The reason they're the only ones that can sense
it's
energy,
one word and it starts with a T.
Well, it's also a spiritual power that they learned on Earth.
Well, you're getting deeper. You're getting deeper into
training
is training is the answer.
Yeah, training is the answer, but it's also because the planet Earth is centered around spiritual themes in a way that the rest of Dragon Ball is not.
Not to mention that literally in this fight, Piccolo teaches Gohan how to do it in this fight. So the point I was trying to make is that when Vegeta figures out that the scouters are worthless, this gives him a tactical advantage on Frieza on Namek because the people on Namek, not the Namekians, we're talking about Frieza's forces. Frieza does not know how to sense energy. Dodoria, Zarbon, Ginyu, none of them know how to sense energy. So Vegeta doesn't need a scouter. They do. That gives him a tactical advantage. This right here already is telling us that Vegeta is smarter than the average villain, which I think is why people like him too, because he becomes a dumbass later, but at this point he's smart. Nappa says fuck it. Raditz fucked up and underestimated them and died. And then he goes, that weakling Raditz the guy who you and Goku teamed up and just barely managed to beat, and he's a weakling, aka we're fucked. I love it.
Yep.
So we still have 6 of those Saibamen, don't we? Now, Dragon Ball Daima may or may not reference the Saibaman. If you've seen the leak video, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I will not tell you out of respect. But the Saibamen, or it's actually the Saibamen, that's the right way to pronounce it. There's a tie-in.
Yeah, the Saibamen are really interesting because they're like bioweapons. They're like They're like genetically engineered monsters that are used as weapons, which is very interesting because, you know, that's the kind of stuff the Makaoshin do. You know.
Yeah. So then here we have the birth of the Saibamen. There's 6 of them. And the whole thing here is each one is equal to the power of Raditz, and they are there to test Krillin, Piccolo, and Gohan. So it's basically 6-on-3. So they thought they had the advantage. Now they don't. And they're like, well, we're fighting 6 Raditzes. This could be a problem. But then here comes the cavalry. So Tenshinhan, Chaozu shows up, and Yamcha. Surely nothing can go wrong.
Surely.
right? And then now is when Vegeta comes up with the game. There are 6 Z fighters, as you want to call them now, 6 Saibamen. Let's do a little mini tournament. I love this shit, bro, because it's like Toriyama, what he's doing here, he's not going right into the Saiyans fighting. He's giving us a little like
Building it
appetizer.
up. Yeah.
Right. And then Piccolo's like, fuck you, let's just fight. And then Krillin's like, no, wait, we can buy time till Goku arrives. Like, yeah, because if Goku, the plan was when Goku, this was the plan. If they buy enough time, it'll be Goku, Piccolo, and Tenshin Han, 3 very powerful fighters with Krillin, Yamcha, and Gohan, 6 against the Saiyans. They might actually have a shot to win. That's what Krillin's thinking, not knowing how strong Vegeta is. Yeah. And then here we go. Tenshin Han's the first one to step up. And again, going back to what we talked about before, this is why it's important to fucking not skip original Dragon Ball, because this Tenshin Han's entire arc is important, and seeing him step up. If you only see Dragon Ball Z, it's like, okay, well, let's see what this guy can do. But if you've seen Dragon Ball, you know that this guy beat Goku once and came close the second time, even though Goku wasn't giving his all, and that you know that he's probably the 3rd strongest behind Piccolo, not including Gohan. So right here, let's see what happens. So they fight. Tenshin Han gets the advantage. Saibaman splits his head open. The spit come at him. Acid come. It's fucking acid come.
That would suck, man. You be afraid to even punch his head at that point, because if acid comes out of it, you're gonna like Saibamen are very intimidating. Like, people look at them like they're a joke, but if you ran into a Saibaman in real life, man, that'd be scary.
Oh, in real life, we're fucked as humans. Shit.
Yeah.
And then Vegeta seeing all this, elbow down he goes. He's down. Tenshin Han wins, and then Vegeta says, looks like we might get some entertainment out of it after all. Chapter 215, Yamcha's Premonition. What could go wrong? Saibaman is down, Tenshin Han's above him, and they're like, but that's impossible. The Saibaman's power's over 1,200, equal to Raditz. Use your head. That just means their power's greater. Yeah, because they trained.
Yeah.
And then this guy gets up, and then Vegeta's like, nah, get fucked. Blam. Now, in the Ocean dub, they censored this. If you watch the original uncut, if you pause it just at the right frame, you can see how nasty this is, bro. The eyeball popping out, the guts, like Vegeta eradicates him.
Points his fingers at him. It's so wild, bro.
The purpose of this is to tell the audience, he could have done this to Raditz. If Vegeta was the one to come to Earth at the beginning of the series and not Raditz, he could have done the 2-fingering like I did to your mom and fucking killed Goku and Piccolo just like that. This is meant to intimidate the reader and say, well, let's hope that fucking Kaioken comes in handy. So they're all shocked. Vegeta, why did you do that? The Saibaman underestimated his opponent. It's just a waste of time. This is also foreshadowing for what would happen to Nappa as well.
Yeah.
If you, at this point in the series, if you show any kind of weakness around Vegeta, he's going to kill you because he has no use for you. Just you're useless. And then he tells Saibaman, don't hold back. And right there, he destroyed him with a simple hand gesture. Who's next? Yamcha the hot shot. I'll take this one. You've already been wished back with the Dragon Balls, Krillin. If anything happened to you, you couldn't be brought back again, which is true. And then he's like, I see a hot shot. Get out there and show them what Saibamen are made of. So they're about to fight, blah, blah, blah. Saibaman moves. This is a fun little short fight. They're going at it. Now, look, to answer that guy's question earlier, they're gone. Idiot, they're moving at high speed. Feel out the movement of their ki. You're the only one who can't see them. This is Piccolo giving Gohan on-the-job training. Do you want to say anything about that?
No, that's awesome.
Okay.
You explained it well enough.
Yeah, and then we have the fight, blah, 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 and he misses. Yamcha comes up, hits him with a far Long range Kamehameha. Down goes the Saibaman. He's in the ground. And then it seems that these monsters of yours aren't as tough as you think. I'll take care of the other 4 by myself. The hot shot Yamcha. No, he didn't sacrifice himself, bro. That's not how sacrifice
really
works.
Interesting because this means that after training with Kami, Yamcha, Tenshinhan, Krillin, everybody is strong enough that they could have better contended with Raditz than Goku, which is very, very interesting to think about.
This is incorrect. He didn't sacrifice himself, bro. Sacrificing yourself is what Chaozu did and what the Saibaman's about to do. So Xavier says, I wish they had fought the Saibaman one-on-one, and people forgot that Yamcha beat the Saibaman. The Saibaman killed himself because Vegeta would have. He's right. No, you thank you for the super chat. You are correct. Xavier is very well trained in Dragon Ball.
Yeah,
I would say. And then here it is, and he blows himself up. And from then on, Yamcha would be resorted to being the poster boy the meme jabroni of Dragon Ball. I mean, this is it. Like,
yep, this is the iconic shot.
Mm-hmm. To the point where even in Dragon Ball Super, in the baseball episode, they made reference to it, which means that even the Japanese know this guy's a meme. And the Japanese never acknowledge memes, bro.
That's true.
No, he's dead. And Krillin gets really, really mad. The veins popping up in his head. And get that. And then Vegeta says, get that filthy mess cleaned up. Huh?
I was just reading what Vegeta said. He's savage.
In the anime, I think he says something like, get that disgusting corpse away from here or some shit. Just savage shit. That's Krillin's friend. This is a move that he used in the 23rd tournament, but not this strong. Fires it. It's a very slow-moving ki blast, but it is powerful. Yeah. Chapter 216, Frightened Warriors. Yamcha's there with Puar. He fires a big blast. Vegeta's like, huh? Everybody moves out of the way because this is a very powerful blast. Krillin goes up. Then he explodes it. It comes down. Takes out 1, 2, 3, 4 Saibamen. Of course, and it hits Vegeta and Nappa, but they're alive because that ain't going to do shit to them. There's one Saibaman who dodged. He's about to go after Gohan. Piccolo, first time in history, Piccolo saves Gohan, a recurring thing we'd see in the series over and over and over, especially in the movies.
Yeah, this means Krillin could have wiped out Raditz too.
Well, this Krillin could have. Yeah. Punch to the gut. He throws him up. Mouth blasts him. You see the fucking bones because the show's raw like that or the manga's raw like that. And dead meat. Dead meat. So now the Saibamen are gone. Now the dust settles. Vegeta and Nappa are good. And now it's like, well, we're going to have to do it ourselves.
We're going to step in.
Krillin, and Krillin says, that put everything I had into that attack. Nothing. Nappa does the iconic pose. He powers up. In the series, in the Dragon Ball Z anime, this power up takes some time. Like he's there. It's one of the long ones.
Awesome.
It was.
He looks so cool when he's powered up and he's got the like yellow energy all around him. It's like so iconic and cool. I love it.
The whole earth is rattling. Fucking, they're all freaking out. He's fucking going up. Here he comes. And then chapter 217, hurry up, Son Goku. There's the yellow energy you were talking about.
Yeah.
I won't be going easy on you. He immediately lunges at them. Tenshinhan's the first one to come in.
Now, this is really important because this is something a lot of people forget about Gohan's first ever experience with actual combat in comparison to Goku. Like, this is Gohan's experience with combat. This is it. What you're seeing right here, this is Gohan's first introduction into the idea of combat. Whereas Goku's first introduction into the idea of combat was his grandfather as a martial artist. So you can kind of see why Gohan's view of fighting is so much different than Goku's. If you just every time you see, Gohan skeptical to hurt someone or talk about how he doesn't prefer to fight, think about this fight. This is like a living nightmare for Gohan. It's crazy. He's watching all of his father's best friends get killed right in front of him. Like, it's insane.
And he's watching guys that his father had trouble beating years before he was born just get fucking smashed, just get fucking trounced. Nappa has this energy field around him that's pure, just malevolent energy. He fucking immediately chops off fucking Tenshin Han's arm. The dude's bleeding. Vegeta's laughing about it. Chaozu's freaking out. It's interesting because, once again, the original English dub, Tenshin Han says, "You just wait till it grows back." Humans, or Tenshin Han's like semi-alien human race can't grow arms back. But remember, Jordan, we have to teach the kids that if you lose a limb, it'll grow back. So if I'm a 4-year-old kid and I watch Dragon Ball Z, the dub, and I stick my arm in a wood chipper, it's okay because it'll grow back. Maybe they shouldn't censor it because you might be sending out the wrong message. I'm just saying. Yeah, then here we go. Fucking, he's going to take his head. Tenshin Han moves out of the way. He hits him with this huge fucking like Pele kick, bro. Let's fucking Pele, the soccer guy. Down goes Tenshin Han. He's pretty much done at this point. He's already done. Like there's no choice anymore. Krillin's going to get in there. Then Nappa says, "Get the fuck away from me." Does this move. Leaves a giant crater. He just says, "Get fucked." Yeah, this was a big, bro. Like, people always talk about the power scaling of like late Z and Super, but this was a big deal at the time.
It was, for sure.
This is the late 80s. Huge fucking hole in the ground. They didn't die, but still. And then Nappa behind you. Chaozu goes from behind, grabs him. He says goodbye to Tensan, the best friend of Tenshin Han, blows himself up, sacrificing himself just like the Saibamen did to take out Nappa. Tenshin Han's freaking out. He's fucking, his best friend is dead, and Nappa's perfectly fine with a little bit of scratches, and that's
terrifying. Terrifying.
Yeah. So unlike Yamcha, Nappa didn't give two fucks. I think people forget that Nappa actually killed a lot of people, bro. Like, he was one of the guys with the higher body counts in the series when you think about it.
Yep, that's true.
Majin Buu has the biggest body count because he killed everyone, and Frieza has a huge one too because he was destroying planets. Nappa's got a lot though.
Yeah.
That was a pointless thing to do. I guess you don't realize how terrifying we are. Chapter 218, the final key Koho. So this is Toriyama really hammering home the emotion. We're seeing pictures of the group together, enjoying, having a good time, enjoying life.
I love that picture of little Gohan. I love that.
That one?
Yeah.
And like, we have the old crew from OG Dragon Ball there, like trained together, and meanwhile death is at their door in the actual story, bro. Goku's on his way back. He doesn't think he's gonna make it in time, which he doesn't. Goku's always late. And all right, first, hold on, I fucked up because I accidentally zoomed in on our window, not the there we go. All right, first I'll deal with Three Eyes, then the Runt. Don't worry, you'll get your turn soon. And then Tenshin Han realized that the Dragon Balls already brought Chaozu back to life because he was killed by Piccolo.
Yeah.
So he can't come back. And then he's like, don't worry, I'll be sending you to meet him too. And then they're saying they're coming up with a plan, right? Piccolo and Krillin. And while that's happening, Vegeta is like, well, best of luck. Do your plan. Meanwhile, let's get the super chat. Crazy to think Raccoon would make easy work of them.
Yeah.
And then Goku made easy work of Raccoon.
Yeah.
And then he says, you won't be making that face when Son Goku gets here. Oh, Is that who's that? Is that your ace in the hole? And then now, so they're going to go attack. Meanwhile, he's coming at Ten Shinhan. Ten Shinhan's powering up.
Battle of the Baldies.
Yeah, but first Piccolo intercepts, and then Krillin and Piccolo try to go head on against Nappa and actually catch him off guard. They catch him off guard, bro.
Literally everybody is bald. Piccolo,
yes.
Krillin, Ten Shinhan, Nappa.
Right, literally, except Gohan.
Yeah, he's not really fighting, but yeah.
So Gohan is supposed to blast Nappa with everything he's got, but he's a fucking 5-year-old kid at this point. He freezes. He's scared. He didn't do it, and then they decide.
The blast kind of looks like the Makanko Sampo, but it's not
with the drill.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's awesome.
So then they were like, "Fuck it, we got to do it." Real quick super chat from Connor. He says, that's why Piccolo refused to wear Saiyan armor. I don't know about that. I don't know if that's the reason. I don't know. When did he refuse to wear it? Do you remember when that was?
No, I don't.
Is Chaozu considered bald? Well, he has one hair, I think, right? Wasn't that the joke?
Yeah, he has one hair.
He has like one hair. But yeah. I don't remember Piccolo refusing to wear the armor. By that point, Cell Saga dub. Oh, that's dub. Okay. Yeah. Brother, what have we been telling you about the dub, bro? He never refused. Instant transmission is not super speed. Super Saiyan is not a need, a desire. Goku's not the hope of the universe. You've been lied to, my friend. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit because I don't believe Piccolo ever refused to wear that armor in the Cell Saga. I don't remember that line at all. Yes, it's the dub, the beautiful dub everybody defends because of whatever. At least I don't remember that being in the manga. If it is, I'm wrong. I just don't remember. But we'll get there. Mangalorian, if it's in the manga, we'll get there. You know what I mean? Yeah. We're just not there yet. We're still here. So they blast Nappa, but he moves out of the way. Do you think that would have killed Nappa?
I mean, it is a combination of both of their powers together, and if it's anything like what would have happened with Raditz, maybe. I don't remember what Nappa's power level is. Do you?
It's in the guidebooks. Like, I want to say something like
3,000, something like
more
that.
Than that. I think 12,000 or something like that. Xavier says 5,000. He's probably right. He's probably right.
Then I don't think that would have killed him.
No, I don't think that would have killed him. I think it would have hurt him, though. It would have probably hurt him. Meanwhile, while that's going on, Ten Shinhan is gathering energy. He says, I promise to avenge you and then join you in death, and we'll never be apart again. Does him and Chaozu have like a Brokeback Mountain thing going on? Because
they are their own version of Goku and Krillin. If you remember if you remember back during the World Tournament, like that was kind of the dynamic Toriyama was going for, is that like they had a childhood friendship very similar to that. They were like a parallel to Goku and Krillin as a pair whenever they were first.
But this guy's got lunch throwing her pussy at him, and instead he keeps hanging out with Chaozu.
Martial arts bonds run very deep.
So you're saying he's not running Chaozu deep?
No.
Okay, I'm just asking. Some people have thought that, you know. So this part is awesome. He fires the Kikoho. Now again, let's go back to the recurring theme of this stream. If you've only seen Dragon Ball Z, you don't understand the context of the Kikoho, the Tri-Beam. Hey, Barry, what should we call this move in the dub? Well, he's got 3 eyes. Let's call it the Tri-Beam. Kids won't understand Kikoho. That's Funimation in the 90s. So if you don't see original Dragon Ball, you don't understand the power of this move, that if you put all your energy into this move, it takes your life from you. So Ten Shinhan hit him with everything he's got, and he was very strong at the time. This is the guy who once beat Goku.
Yeah, he drains his life energy.
He's about to die right now. You see it in the next chapter. Yeah, Nappa's fine. Nappa didn't take no damage, and that's the end of
Yeah, he
volume.
literally uses the last of his life energy to try and take out Nappa.
Yep, he's dead. And Goku, where are you? Look, there it is. He gave it everything he had and still died in vain. They are dropping like flies. Yamcha, Tenshin Han, Chaozu, who again, if you don't read or watch OG Dragon Ball, you don't have a connection with these characters, and you don't see how big of a deal this is that Toriyama's wiping them out, bro. Toriyama was like, fuck it. We really got to get these guys over. In his head, he was like, I got to make sure people really understand.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a crime not to read original Dragon Ball is the message.
And what pisses me off, bro, is that there are some people that are reaction channels that want to start with Dragon Ball, and there's comments telling them, no, skip that, go to Z. And I'm just like, and it's not our audience. It's probably not anybody in the chat. It's the other Dragon Ball audience. I guess people who fucking play the games only or whatever. Like,
yeah.
There was a guy recently. Oh, I didn't tell you this story. In another Discord server I'm in, there's a guy who was asking all these questions about like the Goku Black arc, like a lot of questions, right? And we're like, all that we were answering them like, yeah, all that's in the arc. He goes, I go, have you watched Super? He goes, no, but I'm playing Sparking Zero. I'm like, bro,
oh no,
all your questions are answered if you fucking watch Super. Oh, and here's another one, bro. This one pisses me off. There's very few things that piss me off more than this, bro.
No, I feel you. I really do. I think it's very disrespectful.
Is your Discord public? No, my Discord is not public, and I will never have a public Discord because I don't want knuckleheads in there, bro. My Discord has good people in it. You have to become a member at tier 2 here on the channel, and then go to the community tab, and you will have access to the Discord. And we watch a lot of stuff in there. Not really Dragon Ball anymore because we did watch it before. We watch movies, we watch other anime, we watch TV shows, we watch wrestling. We're gonna watch that fucking Logan Paul or that Jake Paul fight. We're gonna watch a lot of shit. So
that'll be fun. I gotta make sure.
Yeah, we're gonna watch this weekend is UFC too. It's John Jones' first fight in a long time.
That's awesome.
Nicholas is correct. Honestly, I'm gonna be real with you. Look, if you join the Discord, it's $5.99 a month, so it's $6 a month, and you get all the WWE and UFC pay-per-views included. Well, not all, but most of them. That in and of itself is worth it because UFC is like $70 now. So you're saving a lot of money just being in there. Anyways, folks, that is the end of the Mangalorian. A lot of shit happened in that chapter, in that volume. Goku's on his way. The fight will resume next week or whenever we come back, probably next week. So
yeah, any thoughts really you have? For the Goku and Vegeta stuff. Really, really hyped for the Goku and Vegeta stuff.
Yeah.
And also seeing Goku wreck Nappa is going to be a treat too. But really, really hyped for the Goku and Vegeta stuff. But no, I'm ready to get off here and go make dinner for my family and relax. But it's been great hanging out with you guys. I appreciate you guys stopping by the stream. I'm either going to drop a video on my channel tonight or tomorrow, so go check that out. So,
yeah, and I think I don't know if I'm gonna drop a video. I might drop one on Wednesday, maybe Thursday. I have a really funny, actually probably Wednesday. I'm gonna drop a really funny Vegito versus Zamasu video that you'll like it. Sheesh edited it. It's very, very funny. It's a highlights. I did it when I was stoned, so I'm sure you'll get a kick out of it. Anyways, for Jordan, it's Danny. I'm out. See you probably next Tuesday, but Sunday we'll be here. I will be here live on Sunday for the Super Magic Show with Vanner from Seed of Might, and we're going to talk about good quality Dragon Ball versus bad quality Dragon Ball and Z. Take care. Ciao.